Hi, this is Alexa Hampton, and this is 52 Weeks of Design, and today we are going live with the magnificent Leyden Lewis, who very generously is putting up with my being a little late. Hello, Mother. Why, hello, sir.
How are you? Can you see me or am I...
Not enough.
Not enough? Okay, so I've propped up this entire stage, and now it's too high. 1 second.
It's important though, right? Up from below is not an angle I'm having.
Right. No. This is the angle that you need to see me at right now. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
I am so happy to see you. Thank you for letting me be a little late. I'm going to give you my...
Oh my God.
My talk hair.
Glamour, all that glamour. I love it.
So how are you? How have you been during this crazy time?
I've been okay. It's been a very creative period of time. It really has. Oh, absolutely. When you're stuck at home, isolated, and trying to, the devil is boredom, right? So,
yeah.
I really tried to stay motivated, to stay high in spirits. I lost some family.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Some
family.
Some family friends, yeah. So it was a really tough spring last spring. The reality, the data is one thing, but to feel loss is another thing. And it was really difficult. But myself and of course my relationship with the Black Artists and Designers Guild, that was a saving grace. Obsidian.
How glad are we that the Designers Guild existed already?
Sorry, say that again.
That the BADG,
yes,
the Bad Guild. How happy are we that it already existed?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. It's not it wasn't a reaction to anything that happened this year.
Yeah.
It was just building on a momentum of a reckoning. I refer to it as the reckoning.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, of course.
Even though I still better, more face.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's interesting. I would almost think that it was more painful thinking about this reckoning in this atmosphere.
George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. It wasn't, Alexa, I'm sure everyone is trying to figure out where, wherever their background is, wherever they're from. Me being a Black man, we're all just trying to understand how did we come to this place, right? And how can we do better? We've clearly failed, right? Yeah. So we need to do better in every dimension, and it starts with like just being a good person and recognizing that other people, need, require, and are entitled to the same privileges of others.
Yeah,
which is life.
Seems like a crazy thing to have to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Or at this point in our country to have to defend. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm so happy to hear that your time over COVID, with the exception obviously of your loss, for which I'm very sorry. That it was a creative time, because that feels so full of promise and so substantive.
Yeah.
To be creative in that vacuum.
Well, I'm sure you're creative too. For a long time. I just want to go on record and telling everybody how I know Alexa Hampton. We did Tips Bay in 1999, and I remember you walking into our room. At that point, I was partners with Christine Kim. And you said, you need firewood. I bought some firewood. And you clearly had a fireplace in your space as well. And you're like,
I love it. I'm like a little match girl.
No, and I just love the fact that, if I was a 29-year-old kid. I was like.
I was 27. No, it was 99. I was 28.
Yeah, so we're just a year apart. And I was like, and of course, all these very incredible Eric Kohler, Ryan, Dakota
and
Jackson,
Marion Himes Gomez.
Gomez, and I was like, eek, you know, and so you coming over with that firewood was like an olive branch. You have no idea how.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For two kids really wet behind the ears and very excited to be doing a show house.
Oh, I love that story. It's so much better than something else. Like that time we were drunk at that bar and
Exactly.
we got on the pole.
She didn't take the ship. She didn't take the shade off of her head the entire time, right?
So in the years, in the ensuing years between me providing firewood, you have been a busy man.
Yes, I have.
Oh, somebody just called me a bossy log lady, and I like it.
Somebody.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is because it's on your website, is the project in the Sudan.
Yes.
I mean, how did that come? I mean, first tell everybody what it is, and then I'm sorry. I'm doing this all in the wrong order. First, I want to hear, how did you get into design? What did you study? What were your parents like? Was this a cool thing, or did you have to rebel? Give me the whole, give me the lay of the land, man.
I come from, you know, as it says, you know, I'm from Trinidad. My parents are, I'm first, you know, children of immigrants in this country in they came here in 67. I'm born in 70. And my mother is hardworking. You know, she came to be very direct, as a domestic. She worked really hard. She got her sponsorship, all that stuff. My dad, totally opposite, creative yoga.
Oh, cool.
Hippie, expansionist, and so I don't know how to lift a football, nor do I know how to throw it. But
you can draw it beautifully.
But I do. What my father did train me to do is to hold a paintbrush. And so when other people had to prove their football practice, I had to prove my graphic design and my principles to my father. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and every weekend I got, my story goes, and I don't think I change it, is that I got dumped off because they were both working parents at either the Brooklyn Museum Saturday or Sunday program or the Met Museum Saturday or Sunday program. So I'm a real New York kid.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
You've just given me so many ideas.
The ideas of cooking. Yeah.
Like, you can do that?
Yes. Parents who work can leave their children at museums. At least they did in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's how. And I studied fashion illustration in high school at Art and Design. You know, I'm a
that's
I'm a real New Yorker.
What a cool thing to offer to a high school student.
Fashion illustration, and then I was hired as a kind of a Guy Friday, is what they used to refer to them as.
Sure.
You know, do everything in the office, and I then decided let me study interior design, and after I studied for 2 years, I had gotten a little taste of the thing that I loved about it, which was the creating of these narratives and these theaters. But I really wanted something a little deeper and theoretical. So I took that. I took my interior design education at that point and transferred it to architecture.
Wow. First of all, I love your parents. I love that your mother was just getting it done.
Yes.
Like, I don't care what it is. I'm getting it done.
Exactly.
And I love that your father emphasized design to his son.
Yes.
You know, that is not a typical response that I hear. It's, oh, my parents wanted me to do anything else. So that he's high in my books now. That's so great.
Oh yeah, no, I know, and even to this day, the way, some parents says, well, how big of a lawyer are you? You know what I mean? Or how big of a businessman are you? My father's always like, well, hey, Dad, I'm an AD 100. He's like, but what have you been doing about your singing? So have you been practicing your singing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So tell me about that. Have you always sung?
I have. It comes natural to me. I love listening to the blues, and all I did was listen to records and echo what I heard on blues records and jazz records, and I, fairly decent voice, and I'm happy about it, and I enjoy. I won't break out here, but next time when we're
it's welcome.
I know I'm a little too shy. I'm not ready. Okay.
No, don't worry. I was just speaking to somebody. I was at a coffee with somebody for work and then ran home, hence my being late, about, I don't find it surprising at all that you can sing and that you're an architect, because I think the whole Euclidean connection and chords and math, I do feel like that there is a real connection. Do you feel that? You're like, no, I don't. Moving along. No. You're asking. You're asking an Alexa Hampton question. I'm really thinking about that. I think that's pretty astute. I think it must have to do with vibrations, because emotions are vibrations. Sometimes you'll hear a chord in a piece of music and everyone is reacting very similarly, like, oh my God! It actually vibrated through the body, right? So I think you're onto something that I never thought about as music, as numbers and vibration, and as organization, the only thing that gives me goosebumps is music and design.
Your husband.
Oh, he gives me a lot more than goosebumps. He's in the room next door, so I'm like, yeah.
If you know of anybody, let me know. I'm looking for a goosebumper.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Are you well, that's always.
I'm a free agent because of COVID. Actually, how every month in COVID is 8 months in reality.
Right.
8 years. I'm sorry, 8 years in reality. So we basically had a 64-year relationship in the middle. Yeah. So we decided.
And port in a storm.
Exactly. Yeah. So back to design.
Okay, back to architecture.
Yes.
So you went to school for architecture.
A Parsons School of Design. Architecture at that point referred to as environmental design at that school, the program that I graduated from. Mm-hmm.
And did you love it?
I loved it.
Did you prefer it to being an interior designer?
I don't, that's something that, it's a struggle. It's a brand struggle, right? Because people refer to me in publications as an architect. And I think they do that in interior design publications because they see those as two separate things.
Yeah. I also think they think hierarchically, it's more school, it's more degrees. So they.
Yeah. Yes. And yes, it's true. There's no question. And there's licensure and things like that, which I want to go on record here on Alexa Hampton, 52 Weeks of Design. I am not a registered architect. I defer that legal portion to.
But you have the knowledge.
I have the knowledge. I've never been interested in becoming a licensed architect. I refer to myself as a design architect.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
And actually, I think in this moment in time, we all realize just how important it is to know how one defines oneself.
Right. Exactly.
That's what you're doing.
Right. And I think that one of the reasons why I think architect is not, again, architectural designer, interior designer. I don't really, in Manhattan, most architects are practicing interior design, in my opinion, except for the
practice makes perfect.
except for those small cluster of people that are putting up towers, everybody else is doing an interiors job. So,
right.
Yeah.
So when you graduated from Parsons, where did you go?
Where
did you go?
Where did I go?
Where did you go?
Europe. I went to Europe like everybody else did. I
had a grand tour
to Germany, and just trip after trip. That not one long stay. I went to Germany. I went to Italy, France, England, and last year.
I remember those places.
Do you remember those places? And just the awe. I mean, my favorite building of ancient so far, because I haven't been to a lot of ancient cities, is the Pantheon in Rome.
I was waiting for it. Yes, of course. Of course. I'm with you 100%.
You know, I walked through, and I think it takes you about 30 to 45 seconds just to walk through the thickness of the walls before you enter into the center space. And I was just like awed by it, you know,
It is awesome.
It is. And then, that actually segues into, a little bit of Khartoum, not Rome itself, but the kind of approach that we had to designing it was trying to marry both the ancient Nubian, and I'll tell you where I get how the project came, Nubian architecture with a kind of contemporary design, which I'm very much.
So some vestige of the vernacular,
some vestige
updated.
Absolutely, and what's interesting about Sudan, which most people do not know because it's had a very rough political, time of it over the last 30 years, and now they're coming out of it, is that they have one of the oldest cultures that predates even the Egyptians. So the kings were more south in Sudan, shared basically the same, desert. And there are over 300 black pharaohs, and their pyramids in Sudan. So the next time I go, I definitely want to check that out. It's like a field, like this whole massive miles of ancient Nubian pyramids that predate what we understand as ancient Egypt now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I read Herodotus this summer.
Okay.
And it really has gotten me on a jag. I've been dying to go to Egypt forever and a day. Yeah. But as I think about it, I know Africa's so huge. Yes. And that, it's never going to be done in a single pass. Oh, wait, my mother's complaining. I hope she's complaining about you. You can hear me, right? Nobody in a million years, nobody has ever said
too much. Is that what she's complaining about? What's happening?
Maybe. But anyway, I want to go to more in Africa, and I mean, if there are ancient pyramids, yes. And I could go straight down. I could do Egypt and then hug the East Coast.
Go straight down. Absolutely. So so let me just explain. So the guild, I would imagine that it's in a mashup of some guild flickerings that my client Sumaya Abdelrahman, she found me and she said, I'm building a namesake foundation in my father's name to help the women of Sudan. And I said, yes. And how fast can we get together?
Yeah.
And so this building is called the Manadama, which is an Islamic word for school, institution. There's not an actual word for, like, let's say, non-for-profit, but this is it's the building that holds that kind of. So the Manadama is what we designed, and it's basically it's a very small, nimble structure. And, we know that the education of women within communities that are underrepresented and and are developing, when the women are educated, when they start contributing to the family, when they start getting organized, the society takes off. So everything around helping women arrive at their best, I'm all for. So she brought me in, and I'm her collaborator.
And when does that open?
That right now, like all things,
I would imagine
it's going to take some time because
it's going to take
being late. What happened is that it was very interesting, her strategy. We designed the Manadama first so that there would be something to anchor herself, and it's a schematic design. Of course, we have to deal with Khartoum and the logistics of building there and setting up a non-for-profit in both places, in America and in Sudan. But other than that, it's going to be it's an interesting way in which we got grounded in the building so that many people could understand where this is all headed to in terms of donations and funding. And so on and so forth.
Right. So a whole building strategy.
It's a building
to let it flourish.
Hence the foundation.
That is so thrilling.
Yeah.
You just must wake up and feel clean.
Say
Like, I am a good man. Right?
Right. Every day of my life, Alexa, to do that. I really do try. I don't always succeed.
I do too. It's
Yeah.
corny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, it's the try. It's in the trying that's the most important.
Yeah,
So.
there's an expression that I'm sure you've heard, and I'm going to say it wrong, but you, what you wish. See, I've already gotten it wrong. It's to the effect of what you think about is what you wish for. What you wish for determines how you act. How you act creates your habits. Your habits are who you are.
Right,
and, and that's I'm wrong and a shoddy version of it.
But
yeah,
I have to lock my refrigerator after that statement. But
I know, right? But yeah, just thinking about what you're doing there, that's very exciting. I mean, I wish the United States had similar initiatives. Yeah.
I think,
and I don't mean just for women, but it's so great. It's so great that that's the women of Sudan have been through it.
Oh, I mean, right now we're just trying to unlock the cash clog between because of all of the sanctions and the whether or not whatever gossip there is about whatever is happening there, it's not. And I don't believe it is. When I was in Sudan, it was a very spiritual journey for me because I had never really been. I've been to Trinidad, and Trinidad is a developing country too. But then when I'm
sorry, are you just dissing Tobago? You just like who are you to drop the Tobago?
Oh, Tobago!
That is so mean to the Tobagans.
No, we have some Tobagians in our family, but it's so lush and it's so beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful. Have you been to Tobago?
I have not.
Oh, okay. So, but what I was going to say about Khartoum, in terms of being in a developing country, I've been to Suriname, but this was, I mean, I did, the airport was literally like I don't know exactly how to describe the airport.
Open air structure?
Open air. It was, it wasn't open air, but it was just basically a shell. Yeah. Like a military temporary, I forget, I'm losing my words right now. And, it was interesting and the amount of, and it's in the desert. So there's this fine dust that is everywhere. And if you don't love that, within the first 24 hours, you're going to hate the trip. But I fell in love with it because there was this deep heat that I felt connected to my body. And I just felt my body start to really behave like...
I'm just imagining the two of us going there and you're feeling deep heat and I'm like going into a hot flash or like something deeply undignified.
Exactly. No, I loved it. I loved it. And I wouldn't do what we did this last time. We spent much too short a time there last year. The next time I go, I'll be spending more time to acclimate from the long trip. But I do stop in Istanbul. I do stop in Istanbul on my way. So
love Istanbul.
I love it. Yeah. So I'm definitely doing that again.
What about closer to home? What are some of the projects you're working on right here?
Right now, excuse me. Let's see. I've got a wonderful. Well, we're working on the gallery show house. Show house, which is going to be awesome. I think this summer. I hope everybody comes out and sees that.
When does it open?
No. It's opening in August.
It's opening in August. Of course, we'll all go.
Yeah, of course. So I'm inviting all of you to come in and check out, and it's a great array of talent that's at that house. Doing a beautiful renovation of a duplex in the meatpacking district, and really excited about that for really a lovely gentleman.
I love that part of town.
I love it too. Exactly.
It makes me think of my youth and Florent and post night clubbing, artichokes.
Oh my God, that you reminded me about Florent. I love that.
Florent was so great.
3 o'clock in the morning for some eggs and bacon.
Mm-hmm. And an artichoke vinaigrette.
And an artichoke, right. Or a steak au poivre. Yeah,
or steak au poivre.
Right. And let's see. Yeah, I'm sure everyone's going to be like, in my studio's going to be like, why didn't you mention this? And I'm completely blanking.
Oh, no. It's understood that when somebody asks you that, like I could run into anybody and they're like, so what are you working on? And I'm like, I can't think. I'm unemployed. Like, what?
Or for us who are always trying to get more work, it's like, do I have enough? Is it enough? You know what I mean?
No, one happy project is all I need to care about.
Yeah, and I've got that. I'm covered, thank God.
Where are you right now? At home or at work?
I'm at homework.
At homework. Because I hate to be focusing on what's behind you, but something very cool is behind you.
No, this is Jeremy Lawson's wonderful painting that
It is so cool.
And I just adore it, and it's one of my latest acquisitions. So I have I've pretty much been able to quell most of my addictions.
Really? How?
No, I just asked someone to tie me to the bed at night, and so that I get. So, but like art is, I have to behave myself because I don't know. I get that feeling that I could only imagine is addiction, where it's like, oh my God, I have to have that in my proximity very soon. Yeah. So my latest story is that I went to I guess can I name names here? Yeah, like I don't know. I don't want to decredit, Anyway, I saw something.
You can, as long as it's a positive comment. As long as you're not like,
it's not a positive. It's on an online platform. And they sell very, very great antiques, and from many different suppliers. That can actually be about 4 or 5 different platforms. So, and I found this wool thing that is almost like a wool genitals, or woven wool genitals. I mean, I'm a little
genitals.
Genitals. Now, female genitals. I'm being very direct with you.
Yes, you are.
And it's from the 70s, and it's like this tapestry art. And then I bought.
And we know if it's 70s genitals, there must be a lot of wool involved.
It was a lot of wool. So it was sold after I bought it.
So they double traded you?
I bought it, and then they said, "Oh, we forgot to take it off of the website." And I was like,
that sucks.
But that was my winter gift to myself. So I saved some money.
Wait, isn't there an expression about bird in hand versus the bush?
That's why I adore you. You so get it. You so get it. Yeah.
But you've continued painting and being an artist into your adulthood.
Yes, I did. I think that as much as, it's like you mentioned earlier, like knowing yourself as, and it was a crisis for a while. Am I an artist? Am I an art? So that hierarchy you were actually talking about between architecture and being artist, that can exist. As a creative, I always want to make sure that everyone understands that I'm doing what I can do to fully express myself. Right.
Yeah.
Fine artists have that gift of not having a client, Yeah. So what I would say is, I came to understand that although I am an artist, my artistic endeavors come to my architecture and design. That's where I express my artistic vision. But I do paint and I do draw.
What medium?
Every day.
You paint every day?
I draw every day.
You draw every day. When you paint, what medium do you use?
Pretty much. I probably use markers before I use paint, but if I paint anything today, it would be watercolor.
Oh, yeah. Rough. I mean,
the control of the watercolor is intense. But then I don't try to control it. I just love it to let it spill and do its thing, and then I come back in and create lines around it to control.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Very cool. And that's interesting. That sounds like it's weaving your fashion and design into paint.
Yeah, like I mean, again, when you're not looking to, I think you can be mostly creative when you don't give yourself a title. Like I'm a watercolor artist, and so therefore I can make a bunch of mistakes, and maybe I've got a couple masterpieces. Who knows? But at least but the minute I call myself a watercolor artist, I will never touch a watercolor piece of paper again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
yeah, of course. I try not.
It puts a period at the end of the sentence.
Yeah, I try to toggle between these different titles because people want to pigeonhole you based on whatever your title is. Yeah.
Well, speaking of pigeonholes,
Yes.
Creative people are more often than not assumed to be non-business people. How do you, like, are you very involved with the business component of your business? And does it bring you joy to work on? Or is it, you know, how do you engage in the business part of our business? Like, I love thinking up new ideas. I love it, love it, love it. But I need somebody with me to help follow through.
You just told my story. It's not my part of the when I get bogged down administratively, for some reason, the creative, what I consider to be my creative juices kind of, they just take a back burn. They go burner. So I definitely do need, and I've had, I just want to name that I've had Guillermo Nunez in my office, who is amazing. Alina Hackett and Kelly Davila. These individuals have, it takes a village.
Yeah.
To support Leyden Lewis Design Studio. I am not Gandalf. You know, you know, it takes a village, and I'm really blessed to have some really great, incredible, talented, and supportive people. But I agree, you know, to run the business, and as I grow now, and I'm experiencing this kind of growth spurt now, I do see the necessity. I'd hear people talk about, well, my business manager this and my HR person that. I'm starting to definitely see the need for those individuals to arrive in different capacities, and not
though never checking out yourself. The only thing I ever worry about is you might have somebody dealing with something, but we cannot allow ourselves to check out.
Oh yes,
of the conversation, because we need to know what's going on at our shop.
Yes, of course. Oh no. But everything gets ultimately run by me.
Yeah, no matter how painful.
No matter how painful it is. And it is painful because you're like, why are you bothering me about the DOB right now? You know? So why is
really, we should, you know, I should have an anti-52 weeks and interview the DOB.
Oh no, the DOB would be like, you would just talk to expediters all day long. And
or not, as the case may be. They would elude me, as they frequently do.
Exactly.
What was your style when you, I mean, I know this is like a not easy to define, but what was your style when who did you think you were when you started? And who do you think you are now?
Very good point. And I think that the person that I answered in the, you know, when your team reached out to me is Eileen Gray.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Eileen Gray would be the person. That was the point where I guess it was but I'm going to say this completely sloppily, and I'm okay with that. It was the first time I had seen especially her very famous cube screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope your audience knows, but it was the first time the Victorian screen, which was supposed to conceal the body, was now revealing parts of it behind. And so I was like, yes, Eileen, yes. Show us a little bit of your body as you get dressed.
Yeah.
Have that titillation between what's concealed and what's revealed. And she was thinking like this. And I started to undo it because I took her on as a project in school. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be the next Eileen Gray, the black Eileen Gray.
But the black male Eileen Gray.
The black male Eileen Gray.
But there's also, that's interesting, there's a bit of subversiveness then.
Yes.
It's designed as an intellectual riddle.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
not just making it beautiful, but making it thought-provoking and
yes,
and a dance.
And also, you know, I do have a little bit of a problem where historically, this is before Me Too, this is before BLM, this is before our current temperature. Like, you know, architecture has always choked the female talent that's been in the office. You know, Frank Lloyd Wright did it. Pierre Jeanneret with what's her name?
I will prove your point by saying
exactly.
I don't know.
Charlotte Perriand. So I really wanted to. I felt like a little bit of an other, and so I associated myself with these female architects like Zaha Hadid when I was in school. So I really wanted to be the other.
The other who is winning and shaking and
exactly the other. Yeah, and not necessarily take a path. I didn't come from a history where there was some sort of a path laid out for me. So I thought the other is my path.
Totally.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm the complete reverse. But I love taking inspiration, business inspiration from other industries.
Oh,
you know, because I feel like we have ossified.
Okay.
So not that sounds so pejorative, but we have an established path as designers, or at least some kind of established path. So I love just going to different fields altogether and see what they're doing, because there might be applicable things for us that we're not thinking of because we're so on the path.
Well, and I think that if we're not careful, we will let to your point, our clients define where the industry goes versus where it can go.
So I couldn't agree more. When we started shopping on the internet, the universe started shopping on the internet, I would hear a lot of people say, you know, this is terrible. Wow, the sky is falling. And I would respond like, no, we are lucky because it's happening in our generation. So we can have a hand in what happens.
Right.
We can't just be reactive. We should be in there figuring it out.
Sure.
So that we can put the terms down instead of just have somebody else tell us how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So,
no, to your point about that, and I never thought about consciously looking in other. Well, when we did the Obsidian, when Badge did Obsidian and the virtual concept house, there were several other virtual concept or virtual houses, show houses that were coming out. We weren't interested in being the first or anything like that. We just wanted to we wanted to share our creativity as a collective on a digital platform because we couldn't be physically together.
Right. Then
what happened is, as we got together with Autodesk and we got together with Hukuiku, we really started who did our web
Gesundheit.
our web developer. We started to realize that AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, and all of these things that IKEA is doing to sell to the masses, we can.
Does IKEA have AR?
Yeah. IKEA uses an app where you can put a piece of furniture in your space on your phone. I
have used that on various apps, and they never have it in the right size. You know, it'll almost be like color forms.
Right.
Like the desk is tiny and it's floating into the room.
Right.
But yeah, that is the way of the future.
Yeah, no, and to your point, if we don't, you know, for many years, I don't know if you remember this data, like interior designers didn't have websites. Somehow.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, like, you know, like how could you be running a business in the 20th century and some part of the early part of the 21st century with a website? So one of the things that I love about where we can go, democratically to be inclusive is through the internet, honestly. You know, it's that one place where everything is even, you know, and I think that and a lot of
says the son of a graphic designer.
artist. Painter. So I'm just gonna do this really quickly. So there's Adesh who's my assistant, and there's my dad's paintings.
Oh, that's so great.
Over there. That one in particular, the bird, I love. You see the bird?
That's giving me Chagall / Hieronymus Bosch vibes. Right?
I will let him know that.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So so I live with a lot of art, um, and I don't know where I feel shut that bar up.
Sorry, there's like a very loud ambulance. Okay. So I missed the last thing that you said.
I forgot what I was saying.
Okay. You live with a lot of art.
I live with a lot of art, and it impacts the way I think about everything. So, but no.
So does your perfect client have their art? Do they have a collection?
Yes, they do, and they're interested in shuffling it around, and or some of them are just beginning. I have a new client, old friends of mine, that they have some work, but they're going to be adding, and they'll be looking to me to discuss what they add. I would not call
that's great.
Yeah, I would not call myself an art specifier or anything like that, but I do encourage my clients to not have everything what I call kind of depending on the decoration.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, like there's an extent where, yes, I love that whatever velvet that is that you're sitting on, honey, with your hair, your glasses, you look gorgeous. And the pop of color. You are framed. You are you are totally framed, okay? We get it. But it takes Alexa to wake up that chair. Without you in it, you're the art. You're the art.
I don't know where this conversation is going, but I like it.
But wait a minute. And so for me, I think the decorating is beautiful in this space, and we're done. But there's always, of course, you must know this. Some people refer to it as accessorizing. I don't. I think that it's something about bringing in a part of what connects the client to something.
To the interior.
Yeah.
That makes beautiful sense.
Yeah.
And actually, I need a new way to describe that final layer.
Yes.
Because I find, understandably, that a lot of clients, they burn out on buying. It's like, everything is so expensive. And once they're finished with the construction, then they're like, oh my God, and now I'm getting it again in the neck. And then
in the furnace. Right.
Yeah. And you deliver it, and and they know this is not over. But
there are millions. Yes, that's even.
But they very frequently need a pause because they have to collect themselves. Like, you can't make a $5,000 budget to do what you're talking about.
Exactly.
It's a whole other universe of expenses, and my heart hurts for the homeowner when they're like, I'm not done.
No, you're not.
But to express it as I need to put into place those things that connect to your life and to this interior is a much better way of describing it than I have been describing it.
Oh,
I'm like, that's a very accurate and beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, because I think what happens is that I think one of the great things about our profession is that we come in as experts and we know how to curate beautiful spaces, but we don't know how to imbibe or infuse the spirit of a client who is either going to choose to occupy and live in that space or to kind of like dwell, like, with hands off in it.
Like a tourist.
Like a tourist in their own space. So as much as we both get, in both those situations, I get paid, first of all. So,
yes,
but
critical part of that.
Right, but I would hope that, and I don't see them as good and bad clients. I think they're clients that are just, more open to that final layer.
Oh yeah, I certainly don't blame somebody who's like, I need a break. Of course we get it. We get it because we're seeing their bills and we're like, ooh, that's a lot.
This person needs a break.
Yeah, somebody needs to take care of this person. Because I am inflicting horrible damage.
I know, really good. I think a smart business person, I don't know about a good designer, a smart business person will know to go, you know what? let them sit with everything, let them absorb, let their palate rest, you know, almost like a good meal. Let's not bombard them, you know, and they always call back.
Yeah, because it looks unfinished.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels, I think more importantly, it feels unfinished.
Yeah.
Something.
And in a perfect world, it's not something that happens like that, because then if it were easy and quick, it would have no relation to the homeowner.
Well, that's an interesting.
You know, because you've got to tease out
exactly
all of that
and try.
Yeah.
And also that to your point, the expenses related to that portion of the job is kind of like, why are we spending $1,000 to bring all this stuff up that we're not exactly sure we're going to use? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of trust and confidence that they put in us, for sure. But you brought up another point, which is the client who wants to be finished too quickly, and is like buying stuff. You're like, no, that you're right. Because you want to check all the boxes, but that piece that you bought, that's a boo-boo. But I'm not going to say. You've been through that as well, where you're like, oh, you decided to do that on your own.
Or you try to keep yourself as the decorator from stage setting.
Right.
You know, like, you've got to remind yourself, you know, it must be meaningful. So back to who were you when you started? How did you see your aesthetic then? How did you define it to yourself?
Yeah, I definitely was a modernist. I think that's a modernist. I definitely studied all the great modernists at the turn of the century. I definitely wanted to participate in, you know, I grew up on Architectural Digest with Scott Bromley. You know these names too. Antis, chrome moldings. I mean, there was just this 80s lush that I wanted to participate in, and I wanted to make really beautiful spaces modern and livable. And I think that's what I do.
Is that what your house looks like, your apartment?
Yes. You've seen pictures of my home. It's very casual. And it's very, you know, it's light-filled. I think
I don't consider your apartment casual.
You don't consider it casual?
Well, I mean, it's beautifully designed. That, to me, almost seems antithetical.
Interesting. I guess what I'm saying is I didn't use ebony Mikasa on my shelves.
Got it. Yeah.
You know?
No, I think appropriateness is one of the greatest attributes a person, an interior can have, but it's a deeply unsexy word.
What's that?
Appropriate.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Right. It almost feels like you're clipping off something before it gets started, but you're absolutely correct. I live in a repurposed shoe factory, and there's no way that I would feel like a glossy leather finish belonged anywhere in my, you know, because the transition from navigating the public spaces to where I live in my building, in my loft, would be just bizarre. And the place is just, you know, it's Williamsburg, but you know.
I think anybody our age had a major moment when Flashdance came out, and she lived in that empty factory, and we were all like, that is the coolest place. That is the coolest.
But I will tell you right now, the next home, and I'm currently looking for a home upstate New York, has rooms.
Oh, well, don't whistle while I'm on.
Oh, you have rooms and you can still hear?
With my voice? So yeah, that is
I've been told I have a voice that carries as well.
But what you just said is something that I've been suspecting would be the result of COVID quarantine, that we all need to have doors to close.
Yes.
To do our stuff in. Or my kids, you know, they can't be on Zoom in the same room. Right. So they have to be behind a door.
100%. Yeah. And, you know, so I think that, I mean, it's interesting that you say formal or informal, or, maybe I take it for granted.
I didn't. You did.
No.
You said it's casual.
I'm going to take away. You know, I'm always, the clogs are always turning. I'm interested. Yeah, that's it. I would love. Yeah, I think.
I guess it's my hats off to you and the thought that went into creating a result.
Yes, yes.
That to me, you know, the effort to make it beautiful is acknowledged.
Thank you very much. And I think that as interior designers, I think for the up and coming, let's say, our future interior designers might want to think about less about luxury as the only,
as the standard of
standard for interior design. Interior design is as far as I understand it, is connected to improving the lives of people.
Yeah, an experience.
And experience within a space. So sometimes I ask myself, does it require that $52,000 Otto Prucher sideboard to do that? Or just, you know what I mean? What is beautiful? So
well, that's interesting, because as a modernist, I feel that you have that would be harder for you than for me. Because, you know, rumpled Anglo rooms or a, you know, like a Seraglio vibe, right. Those can have cushions on the floor and like velvet that's getting messed up.
Right.
Whereas if strict modernism takes real effort, aka money, to make sure that those walls are plumb and no.
Interesting thing. I always think that traditional work can hide a whole bunch of things, and it costs more, and more people are. But I have a resentment. Against traditional. I think you guys all make a lot more money than the modernists. I'm going to raise my hand. Oh. And I think it's because of, that's what I think. And I think it's because.
I hope so.
Well, now we're starting the real conversation, right? So no, and I think it's because it's like, I think it's
more stuff.
Spaces are empty. No. I think it's like, oh, is this a design or is this empty? you know?
Yeah.
You know, but I think this layered, in terms of talking to people through objects, traditional and classical design does that. And there's a lot of historical reference that people can attach themselves.
I think it connotes luxury, but it doesn't necessarily equal luxury.
Yes.
It's in our brains that is, yes, Axel Interiors is saying traditional equals more layers equals more money. Yes. But then again, I have seen modernist rooms that obviously the square foot expense to make it gleam like a diamond is really high.
Oh yeah. No, I would agree with you. Like whereas
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Shoot. Oh, there always has to be some sort of major glitch. I know JBC Enterprises. Leyden, can you hear me? He left. Well, I'm going to save this. I might come back with more conversation with him. And I might not. It might just be an abrupt end. So I'm going to pause and save this, and then I'm going to reach out to him as well. Oh no, I'm going to reach out to him right now. There we go. Go live with Leyden.
Abrupt end.
There! Yay!
Oh, okay. No abrupt ends on this.
No abrupt end.
No.
Okay, so I last heard you responding to gleaming like a diamond, that the cost per square foot is.
And you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct about that. I don't know what's happening. Can you see me?
I can.
Okay.
Oh, so, now I can only see your avatar.
Okay. No.
Now I can see it.
Yes. So, gleaming like a diamond is absolutely true, and I think you're right. I mean, to get those walls plumb and everything to be level takes a lot.
Yeah, precision is
a lot of resources. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
What would be your fantasy project?
Hmm. I think it would be in probably one of the, like an older modernist building, and I'm trying to think about where. You know, I would hear people talking about UN Tower or some of those Breuer buildings over by the UN.
Yeah,
Those have, you know, I just want to know my city more. I've never done an
that's
apartment
wonderful.
in Dakota. You know, I'd like,
Yeah,
yeah, I want to be in those spaces and understand, you know, their history and what a modern insertion could be like.
yeah. That would be well. So that's what's so great about New York is you can have an exterior that has really nothing to do with the interior.
That I love those kinds of,
Yeah.
those that kind of clashing of different eras. Yeah.
And yeah, I just lost my train of thought. It was profound though. Whatever I was about to say, it was deeply
Oh, it
profound.
was
But
very,
somebody gave me a compliment and I got immediately confused.
it was, it was very profound. I attest.
It was very profound. No, actually, it reminded me of the subversive idea that we were talking about earlier, because that is a quite clear subversion when you have a place like the Dakota and you go in and you work against the grain, and
Yes.
it's very exciting, the result.
Yes. Yeah, especially, and again, without completely destroying some of those exquisite
Sure.
details, that come with the history of the building, and then yet insert something that really is in great dialogue with it. I look forward.
Yeah. So you're again talking about intelligent design.
Yes.
Intellectual design that makes you, back to the Eileen Gray screen,
Yes.
that engages you and is more than just a surface.
100%. If it's just this, I think that, I think that's the connection to myself in being what I believe as an artist is I don't believe artists do, well, what I would consider a good artist do things without some sort of effort at achieving meaning. And I think that I want to have meaning. I want my clients to understand that there is meaning in these spaces that we create, and that they're not meant to be trashed and just, the last thing, what breaks my heart is when an apartment, something I've heard has been demoed. You live long enough as a designer, and some of your projects are demoed. I'm like, oh, but that was.
I mean, I think of my father's work, some of which was just like heaven on earth,
and was complete.
And everybody feels that like primal need to put their own mark on.
Yes.
And I get it. It breaks my heart, but I do understand it, because I wasn't about to move into somebody's house and leave their
mark
iteration.
Yeah. Oh, what? And on that note, I'm going to just I'm going to do.
I can't hear you. On that note, do you remember? And then
Oh,
yeah.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember
on that note?
Do you remember that shop?
Which shop?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you remember Stephen Hall's Pace showroom on Madison Avenue across? Remember?
Yes.
That? That was beautiful. And when that was gutted, I was like, oh my God, how could they have gotten rid of that? That showroom was so beautiful.
That's a whole 52 weeks we should have with a bunch of people, because of course we want to foster artistry among our population. And our population is not a static thing. There are people who grow old and die. How to make people want to create beauty means sometimes, you've got to rotate the crops. You just gotta get rid of some of those buildings.
Oh yeah, no, but something is gained, and some things that sometimes are lost.
Yeah,
for sure. But yes. Well, this has been incredible. I was so nervous to talk to you.
Well, it's so easy when it's just two people looking at each other. Like everyone else.
The emails before got me really nervous.
Everyone else is like in airplane when you hear somebody's boring you and they're like setting fire to themselves or hanging themselves or harakiri, seppuku in the middle. Seppuku.
Sudoku.
But for us, it's very easy.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I'm sorry I was late. And I would ask you a favor.
Yes.
Are you allowed to put any of the images of the cartoon project on your Instagram?
I am. I will do that.
Would you? Because
of course.
that is to me so thrilling and exciting. And think about like this is like the first major foray for the, for now.
Yes.
For any of us to think of Sudan and design hand in hand is not what we've been thinking.
No, and that's what I want to break everybody out of. I want us all to be working everywhere for all people. And I'm calling it, I'm claiming this term, world design. I don't care about whether we decolonize design, whether everybody's represented. The question is world design. And that's a way of thinking intelligently, like you were saying, about and making sure that everybody contributes to that single canon, as diverse and as beautiful and as strange as it is. Yeah.
And that countries, cities, a block can be reborn.
100%. 100%. If there's intention and there's the will.
Yeah. Intention is really the word of the year.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. You are a gust of fresh air.
Thank you. And it's always a pleasure to see you. And I send you a big, big, big bear hug.
I intend to have a log in hand when I see you next.
Make it a chocolate one this time, though.
Okay,
right?
I'll bring you a Yule log. All right.
All right.
Kisses. Love you.
Take care. Love you too. Take care. Bye.